Hi, I'm here with another art project today. It's actually one of my favorites. I dug it out of my art closet the other day when I was thinking about what I could show you next. And it is called a Psyanka egg. And if anybody has ever seen these before, they're really, really quite beautiful. A Psyanka egg is from the Ukraine. And if you'll notice, they're mostly decorated with some Ukrainian folk design. You can see this one that my friend brought back from the Czech Republic with her for me is designed with little flowers. And it uses a wax and ink resist method where you dip the egg down into some wax and then you pull it out and you use a tiny little scribe and you scrape away some of the wax and then you dip it in ink. Then you would pull it out and you'd scrape away some more and dip it in a different color ink. And I actually had neighbors growing up who would do these every Easter, and they would invite my sister and I over to make these beautiful eggs. And something that's pretty unique about them actually is that you, with a little pin, would put a little hole at the top and the bottom and blow the egg yolk out, so that you can keep them forever. And you can hang them on a little Easter tree if you'd like. We are going to actually make one of these today, not the traditional way, but just by using paper. And I'm going to show you what you need to do this. Any design works. I'll show you one of my designs that I think is kind of fun to do. And you can do your own design. All that you'll need today are things that you can find at home, or hopefully you have at home. Paper of any kind, some markers. I have some washable markers, or I have some fine tip markers that I like to use, permanent markers. I will probably use a black permanent marker, a pencil, and I actually have a stencil from a project that I've used in the past, but you don't even need a stencil. You can actually draw the shape of an egg on a paper pretty easily. So I'm about to show you what you need to do to get started. Okay. I will be putting the paper down and putting the egg on my paper. You can put it anywhere as long as it fits. You can draw it anywhere on your paper. You can make it as big as you want or as little as you like. Although I think if you make it big, then your designs are easier to draw. Okay, so there is that. Now I'm going to draw an outline of this with my Sharpie so that it's easier for you at home to see. And you can do this too if you'd like. You don't have to. And something that you always need to remember in art is there is really no right or wrong. It's just it's the design that you really want. And it's what you really want to see. So one of the traditional designs of a Psyanka egg, and they kind of remind me of Pennsylvania Dutch designs, some of them, but they use a lot of geometric shapes. And we'll start out with one that I kind of like. So in the center of my egg, I'll draw what looks like a little circle. And then I'm just going to come up with long flower petals. And they're like long pointy ovals. Okay, and then in between each one, I'm going to draw these lines that come out. And then they'll have their own kind of little flower at the top, and I'm just going to draw these little circles, which will later become designs. They might go off the edge, since this is not three-dimensional. It's another two-dimensional project. And it's a fun one for spring or Easter. And I'll make sure that it has its own little leaf on each one. And it's just a little curved line on each little stem. And then in between the petals, I'm going to do a squiggly line that comes down through the middle of each one. And this design, don't forget, can really be your own. Or you can use mine too, it doesn't matter. Lots of times the Psyanka eggs have borders around some of the edges. You can see this border right here on my Psyanka egg goes around the edge right there. It's really beautiful. So we'll create our own border, and I'm just going to create a border of half circles that goes around the edge. You can create whatever kind of border you'd like. It does not have to be half circles. It could be diamonds or triangles or little dashes. It could be hearts. It could be whatever you want it to be. So there's part of my border there, and we can make it a little bit more intricate. We can make it a more intricate design. And we can include some curly cues at the tops, if you have room, of each petal. And you really want to just fill up some nice space on there. So there's the design. Let me show you. Hold it up close for you. There's kind of the design of my Psyanka egg. The neat thing about the Psyanka eggs is actually because of all the different color dyes they use, you have a lot of black on these eggs. So a Sharpie marker really does come in handy in these, okay? So I'm going to use my Sharpie, and I'm going to go through, and I will leave some white spaces that we're going to color in a little bit with whatever color you would like. We will color in some black. I'll use my Sharpie for that. And we'll see where this takes us. Something that I forgot to do is turn on some music. Usually I like to do my art projects with some music in the background. Today, all I hear is one of my dogs walking around. So you might want a little music on for some inspiration. So you can see that I did the border, and then I'll come through and I'll start with just the little round circles, and I will fill in my center with black. I'll start there and see what it looks like. Don't forget, there's no right or wrong. You don't have to fill it in black. You can just trace it if you'd like to. Come through and make another one right here. Oh, I see I missed one. There you go. I think I missed one right here. And we'll do that. Now start adding the stems. Okay, and that's the beginning. And we'll keep going. And then some of my lines, you'll see, I'm going to make a little thicker. Like this line. I'm going to make that a thick black line in the middle of each flower petal. go. And this is just a fun project to do on a rainy day. And actually, it's kind of snowy and rainy here today. So this will brighten us up and help us think of spring, hopefully. And come around and we'll do the curly cues. I actually think my border looks a little boring. So I'm gonna go in and add some things to my border next. I'm just gonna use my Sharpie marker, although you can feel free to use your pencil first. I think the border is a little boring. I'm gonna add some smaller circles in there. And I might even add some little dots as well. Okay, and here is the start and the design of this particular Psyanka egg. And you can see how it differs from this one. So any design works. I'm going to come in with some of my permanent markers, although you do not have to use permanent markers for this. Any markers will do. Washables are just fine. And a lot of times the Psyanka eggs actually have patterns to them with different colors. I am going to show you a picture that I found of all the different designs of Psyanka eggs, lots and lots and lots of different designs. You can see there's a lot of brown, there's some black in there, there are some blues. They're really beautiful. So I think I'm going to stick to some traditional colors. And they may not be the traditional spring colors that we think of here, like the pastel colors. But I think I'm going to stick with some blues, some navy blues, some deep purples, and maybe a pretty gold too. You can choose whatever you would like at home, and you can even use pastels. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I am going to come in and just color the tops of my little sprouts over here in gold. And this is almost like making your own coloring page. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the coloring pages that are out, which are great. They are way fancier than the coloring pages I grew up with as a child. You'll come through, and I'm going to stick with the same color for each one. And there's one more over here. And then I think I'm going to choose a dark purple for half of the flower petal. Choose whatever colors you would like. And go through and keep it on the same half each time the whole way around. And I'll just do from down here so you guys can see that, and then you can start all of this on your own. I think down here I'm going to draw little tiny lines, blue lines, inside each and every one half circle of the border. It's a different design technique here. Okay, and you would continue that the whole way around. And I think I'm going to pick this pretty pink and do another design technique inside of the other half of my flower petal. And I'm gonna come back in here, and I think I'm gonna use an orange for this part. And just the little tiny part, the inside half circle will be colored orange. And of course I would go the whole way around and do those techniques and fill in the rest of the color. And then you can also decide if you would like to have a background color. So I showed you my Psyanka egg earlier, and the background color is black. You can see that. And then let me pull up that picture on my phone again. A lot of these background colors on these eggs are brown or black also. And you can decide yourself if you want a black background, if you would like a brown background or a dark orange or green. I think in mine today, I'm gonna do a little bit of brown, and I'll show you what it might look like if you did this. So I might come through and just color a little bit brown, but maybe I would leave some white, kind of like if you wanted to outline something like this. I'll just show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. I would come around and loosely outline around my black marker. You don't have to do this. You can color the whole thing in. I'll show you 2 different ways to do this. So you can do that. And I hear my family coming, so that's probably all the time I have today to show you the Psyanka eggs. But you can finish coloring this beautiful Psyanka egg in. You can take a look at this one. You can come up with your own designs, and I would love to see them. I hope you have a great day and a great Easter.